Hi everyone, it's me, Tammy. I'm a mommy now. I wanted you guys to meet my beautiful daughter. Her name is Kaylee Shea. She was born on December 6th, 9 pounds, 20.5 inches. She is beautiful. I'm so in love. Um, she was born via C-section. My labor and delivery story will follow. Let me just show you. She's sleeping right now. I think she looks like a white version of me. Okay, there's gonna be tons of pictures and all that follow, but stay tuned for the delivery story. Bye guys. Hi everyone, it's me, Tammy, and I'm here with my labor and delivery story. This story is going to be real, so if you can't handle it, please don't watch. I really don't need to hear any negative comments. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. I've always told myself that I wanted a natural birth and that I didn't want to do an epidural or a C-section, and that I wanted to breastfeed. They always say expect the unexpected because all of those things went out the window. For weeks, my husband and I have been practicing hypnobirthing, which I will put a link below so you guys kind of get an idea of what it is. It's the practice of self-hypnosis, so you kind of learn to relax through the contractions instead of tense up, because that only makes the pain worse. And we thought we were doing really well on that. Apparently not. So, just to give you that little background. So on December 5th, my husband and I walked to a local store to get the last gift for our niece because we decided to give her a gift from Shay on her behalf to kind of get her to warm up. While we were in the store, I started having contractions and I was like, oh my god. My first instinct was to find the quiet, empty aisles because I just needed to get through them just on my own. And I was using the hypnobirthing and I was good. I just didn't want to be around people. And my husband wanted to keep walking around and kind of like making them come a little more. But it was already 10 at night, so my opinion was, I was like, I didn't sleep that well. Let's just go home and see if I can kind of like put them off a little bit and hopefully they'll come back in the morning. So that's exactly what we did, and I was able to sleep through the night. I think I got a good 7 hours of sleep. Woke up about 7 in the morning and I just felt off. Like I just knew that it was the day. I got up to use the restroom. Everything was fine. I started having some contractions, but they were really light, so I laid back down. I did my hypnobirthing, and at 7:30 I just felt this pop. And I was like, oh my god, my water broke. I had been reading how rare it is for your water to actually break. I should have known better though, because my sister's water broke, my mother's water broke, so I don't know. I just thought I was going to be one of those people that my water was not going to break until I was like in the hospital pushing. No, my water broke. So I was like, oh my god. I woke my husband up and I was like, babe, my water broke. And I was just like so excited. So I went and I sat on the toilet for a little bit, like waiting for it to see if there was any more coming out. And then I got up and I just started walking, trying to like make the labor kind of, come a little faster. Turns out that was not necessary at all. By 8:30, I already needed to be in the shower to kind of have the hot water relieving my back. And I was timing them, but I just kept feeling like something was wrong because they were coming so fast and they were coming for long periods of time, which usually means that, your labor has progressed really quickly. And this is my first baby, so I was like, that can't be right. Around 9 o'clock, call my doctor, tell him what's going on. Well, husband calls my doctor. And at one of them, I happened to slip out of the hypno And I was screaming, and he's like, okay, get her to the hospital. It's time. So it takes me like an hour to just manage to get dressed and get down the stairs. We have 2 huge flights of stairs and this long boardwalk to get across. It was ridiculous. I had 3 major contractions in that time frame, and in between them I was like, like I was trying to walk as quick as I could. So the hospital should ideally be 15 minutes away from our home. It took us over an hour to get there. I managed to use the hypnosis in the car, and I was so deep in the hypnosis, I was drooling. Like, I was just so like, oh, like into it. Fantastic. At one point, my husband hits train tracks, and I just like, I open my eyes, and I'm like, oh my God, we're still 5 minutes from home. Like, what is going on? Why aren't we at the hospital yet? So that's when he didn't want to tell me, but he told me. He's like, there's an accident, and he's like, he had been trying to reroute everything, and all of the major highways were backed up because everyone else was trying to get around it. It was chaos. So I know that a few times I was just like, just get me to the hospital, please. So we get to the hospital, and I think we got there around 10, probably close to 10:30 or 10:40, something like that. My mom and my sister are there. I know I just like waved my sister off. Like she gave me a kiss. She was being so sweet, and I was just like, and when we got up to the labor and delivery section, my room still wasn't ready, even though we were like an hour and a half late. So my husband walked over, and I kept saying I had to pee, I had to pee. My mom was freaking out because my contractions are coming so fast. She's like, I don't know if this is pee. Please don't let the baby come out in the bathroom. But I went to the bathroom. I just managed to pee. They got me into the room, and as soon as I walked into the room, I was just like, I have to throw up. And I just started throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. Which of course made the nurses kind of panic a little bit, and made me nervous, because that's usually a sign of transition, meaning you're about 7 centimeters dilated. So I was like, oh my God, please just hurry up with this process. Now, if you've never had a baby before, they ask you a bunch of questions before they can even like touch you. So there was at least an hour and 15 minutes worth of questions, and I had already pre-registered and filled out all of these questions, and for some reason they're like, oh, we have to ask you again. Now, I wanted to punch this lady in the face. Like, thankfully my husband was answering the questions, and I just kept turning my back to her every time she asked me something that I thought was incredibly stupid. Like, one of them is, are you in an abusive relationship? One, if I was, why would you ask me that in front of the abuser that's standing right there? Like, that doesn't make any sense. No, I'm not in an abusive relationship. I was just, oh, so aggravated. So, at this point, I'm saying I want an epidural, because they had the machine on me, and it was not my imagination. They were coming every 2 to 3 minutes, and they were a minute and a half. I had no time to breathe. I was just like, what is going on? Like I wanted things to move quickly, but I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't handle it. Like, my body was just shaking and shaking, and I kept saying, like, I can do this, and then finally I was like, I don't need to be a hero. Epidural. Let's just do it. Like, get it done. And of course that ended up taking like another 45 minutes before someone came in. The lovely man came in. 1, 2, 3, it was done. But let me backtrack. So when I started asking for the epidural, they did examine me, and they said I was 3 centimeters dilated, which I definitely thought was wrong with the way I was screaming and feeling and the way the contractions were going. So then I asked to be checked by someone else. And thankfully right before the epidural came in, I was checked, and I was actually 6 centimeters, not 3 centimeters. So yeah, that crazy admission nurse knew nothing. So I did get an epidural at 6, and this was about noon now. And my doctor came in, and she's, so excited to see me, and decides to do an exam around 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm already 8 centimeters dilated. Yeah. So she's like, all right, I have a C-section to take care of. You have the epidural. So she's like, I'll be back. When the C-section's done, you should be ready to push. She comes back at 2 o'clock. I am 10 centimeters dilated. I am ready to push this baby out. So I began pushing. Thankfully, the epidural, I wasn't so numb. Like, I could still feel my contractions. It just really took the edge off. So I start to push, and I can feel her head start to come down, and I am so excited. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I can do this. Like, I can do this. I was like so proud of myself. So I'm like pushing and pushing, and I felt the head, and then it was just like nothing for hours. I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And around 6 o'clock, I believe it was, they decided to take the epidural completely off, hoping that that would like really make me push harder. But I really was already feeling everything at that point, but they took it off. And I pushed for about another hour and a half to 2 hours. I would say about another 2 hours. No epidural, just straight pushing, all natural. And I kept feeling like something was wrong. I just couldn't get her head out. And what the same bitchy nurse, pardon my language, was saying I wasn't pushing hard enough, where my doctor was like, she is. And I was just getting so frustrated because I knew that I was pushing in the right way since the first push I had felt her head. So I knew I was pushing in the way I was supposed to push, and just things were not happening. So finally, after about 6 hours-ish of pushing, I just started screaming, I can't take it anymore. I can't do it. She's not coming out that way. She's not coming out that way. And I felt so awful because my husband and my mother seemed so upset. Like with every push, they knew I was giving it my all, and they knew that a C-section was ultimately the last thing I ever wanted. But I was like, she's not coming out. So I decided on the C-section, and I'm so upset about it because I'm like, I know I did everything that I could, but that just wasn't how I wanted her to come out. So they take me into the room, and scary as hell. Like, oh my God, I wish I never ever have to go through that again. And about 2 minutes before they're going to start, a doctor busts open, and they're like, stop! We need 2 anesthesiologists. We have a woman in labor right now with twins. And it was just like, oh my God, it scared the crap out of me. I was already scared to be, getting a C-section. And then they're like busting in like that. But anyways, so they come back like a half an hour later, and it's time to start. And it was a very weird feeling. You could feel the pressure of them pulling, and as my husband says, when they actually pulled her head out, my whole body jumped up off the table. It turns out she was like stuck under my pubic bone, and she never tucked her chin down. Babies are supposed to tuck their chin down to get through the canal. She never did. She had her head up, so she was born with like a bit of a cone head. And then it took them a while. I kept noticing it was taking them a while to like close me up. I was like, what is happening? And it turns out I just had a lot of bleeding, a lot of bleeding. And I could kind of hear their panic. They were trying to like play it off, but I could hear it because they were like, oh, that's the second bag now. And I could see the look on my husband's face. He was just panicking. And they did show my daughter. They put her over the curtain, but I didn't have my glasses on. So I was just like, I'm squinting and I'm trying to see her. And my husband is on the other side with her, like counting her toes and giving her kisses and taking pictures. And he does bring her over to me, but I know I kissed her, but I became so panicked because I knew something was going on and something was wrong. I gave her some kisses, and it was just like amazing because it's like, I know you, but at the same time, I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, please get me through this surgery. Like, please, please, please. She was officially born at 10:20 p.m. and I believe I was out of surgery around 11:30, 11:45. They wheeled me into recovery, and when I was wheeled in, my husband's like, guess how much she weighs? And I was like, I don't know. How much does she weigh? 9 pounds. I had a 9-pound baby. Oh my God. At this point, I was so exhausted. Like, I know as I was being wheeled past her, like we caught eyes and we just kept staring at each other, like just staring. So I was like in the bed and she was in the little like incubator thing, and we were just looking at each other. Our family walks in, and they all got to meet her. I felt like everyone got to get better looks of her than I could because I still had no glasses on. But it was so incredible. Recovery has been a biatch, like a complete and utter biatch. I don't know how women recover from C-sections so quickly. I feel like it's taken me forever, and it's been 10 days now, and I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better. I can walk around and I can do things for myself now. But in the beginning, it's humiliating. Like, you have a catheter, someone has to help you use the bathroom after the catheter is removed. I don't know, it was just so, like, I feel like a piece of my soul just, so hurtful. As for breastfeeding, I did breastfeed my daughter for a few days. Because of the C-section, it was quite difficult because I had to do the football hold since I couldn't put her across my stomach very well. And I was still so drugged up. So on the third day, this is going to be extreme TMI, second or third day, I was visiting a lactation consultant. She was visiting me. She came in and she's like, oh, you're doing great. You're doing so well, whatever, whatever. And as the baby was latched, I kept feeling like a very strong pull. And I said, I don't think she's latched right. I don't think she's latched right. And the consultant was like, oh, no, I think she's fine. But just to be sure, she took her off. And it turns out she actually took a piece of the center of my nipple. So she was latched properly. She just had such a strong suck. And because I didn't have any milk yet, she was very, she was hungry. And she kept looking for more. So the lactation consultant's like, oh, what we should do is, we can just supplement her a little bit. I was against that before I had her. And at the hospital at that time, I was like, yes, please. Because she was literally on my boobs since she was born. And I was like, how do people do this? I don't understand. Like, my boobs were so raw and sore, and I was still trying to recover from the C-section. I couldn't even get out of bed. And to have her attached to my boob the whole time was just like, oh my God, how do you not lose your sanity? Like, I really don't understand. So I did pump and I did put her on my breast for several days, just trying to get her to still keep the rhythm, even though I wanted her to breastfeed. It turns out my milk just never came in. I don't know if it was the stress, because there was a lot of things going on in the hospital in regards to my blood pressure and how much blood I lost, or just because sometimes women who have C-sections, you don't always produce the same hormone to release the breast milk, so maybe that was it. I tried vinaigrette tea and I tried oatmeal, and I did have her latch every time there was supposed to be a meal. It just didn't happen for me. So joke's on me, because I didn't get the natural birth and I didn't get to breastfeed, and I got the C-section and I had an epidural. It was just like, oh my God. But guess what? I have a beautiful baby girl and I couldn't be happier. I'm so tired and overwhelmed, but I'm so in love. So that is my birth story. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye.